Hey guys, so we are at our country house in North Carolina, so it's a different kitchen. Today we're gonna do super easy meatball sandwiches with homemade meatballs. And I'm using my famous homemade marinara sauce, so you can check out our other videos if you wanna learn how to make that. It's easy, it's delicious, and I make it in the summer and then can it for the rest of the year so that we have it all year long. All right, so first thing I've got is in a medium skillet over medium-high heat, I've got 2 thick slices of bacon that I've chopped up into little pieces, and a half of a sweet onion or a yellow onion, whichever you prefer. Sauteing down, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of crushed garlic as well. And we're not cooking this all the way through, we are just kind of sweating the onions. You want them to be tasty and delicious. To get everything going in here, I started with a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. All right, so while this is cooking down, we will start in a large bowl our meat concoction. So we start with 1 large egg, yolk and all. And I've got about 6 leaves of fresh basil. You can use dried if you want. If you use dry, you want to roll them together in your hands. It releases the tasty fragrance inside of them. And to this, we're going to take 1 Italian sausage and shred it up a little bit in here. I removed the skin, the casing from it. You don't want the casing in there. That's kind of gross to bite into in a meatball. But this gives us kind of our Italian flavor, because this is a real simple, very few ingredient recipe. Then we are also using about half a pound of ground beef. And this is gonna make enough for about 4 large meatball subs. So I like to make my meatballs fairly small so that they cook fast and evenly. But keep in mind when you're making them that they're gonna shrink by about 30%. All right. So to this, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. I get the Italian style panko, so it gives you a little bit more Italian flavor in there. But you can use any kind of panko or crushed up croutons. Any kind of breadcrumbs are just fine. I just think panko they're more fancy. All right. So it's already smelling really delicious. Alright, so just once you've kind of got everything hot and it's sweated down, we're going to mix it into our pan of raw meat. You don't need to wash your pan. I'm going to just set it aside because we're going to use that again in a minute. In fact, we'll go ahead and add 2 or 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into the pan now. We'll be needing it. Alright, last thing that we add into our meatballs is shredded. I know I normally preach against using the bag stuff, but I've just been lazy. We just came all the way out here, so I've been lazy. So normally buy it block and shred it. The stuff that comes shredded has this weird powder on it that I guess it's supposed to keep it from sticking together, but I don't know, some crazy chemicals. And a 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan. Perfect. All right, so you can put your oil back on heat, and again, medium to medium high. All right, so your best tool in the kitchen are clean hands. So get these a wash real fast. All right, we're gonna mix this by hand. Take off the wedding ring. We're gonna get everything really thoroughly incorporated. The purpose of the egg is it kind of holds the meatballs together. And the purpose of the breadcrumbs is it absorbs excess moisture so they don't fall apart when you're cooking them. If you find that your mixture is a little wet, like mine's just a little bit wet right now, we're gonna add a little bit more of the panko. See, where did I put the panko? Oh, you took the panko. All right, so a little bit more panko, or you can add just a little bit of flour. Either one will dry them up just a little bit so that they're easier to form and they won't fall apart as easily in your pan. So I've also set my oven to broil. So for the final step, we can pop them right in the oven and broil. All right, so I'm gonna do my meatballs, about a 1-inch meatball. So little smaller than the palm of your hand. And they don't all have to be perfect, but you want to keep them as close to uniform as you can get so that they cook evenly, so you don't have ones that are underdone and overdone. And I hate the stove. I hate electric stoves so much, but it's the one thing we haven't upgraded in this house yet. So we're working with electric. All right, from the grocery store, I bought a pack of just the mini French breads. You can use the large ones if you're gonna do this for a large group and you just wanna cut your sandwiches in half, that's fine. But for our purposes, we are taking a couple meatball sandwiches to some friends of ours down the street, so I figured it'd be easier to just make mini sandwiches. So I've got mini loaves of French bread, but again, you can use a whole loaf if you'd like. It works the same. Right. Right. So I don't salt or season my meatballs. On the inside, I salt and season my sauce, and I just do a light salt and pepper towards the end. You'll see in a minute. So if anybody's wondering why I didn't put any seasonings, I'm notorious for seasoning stuff. Well, that's fine. All right, so the key with meatballs is you want to keep them moving in your pan so they don't get those yucky brown spots. Like I've already done. So you turn them. And once they're brown all the way around, they're perfect. All right, so while these are cooking, we're gonna take our mini French breads. Whenever you're cutting bread, you wanna use a good bread knife, not a jankety knife, because it'll smash the bread. All right, so the way I cut them, really simple. I cut a small V out of the top, like this. So you can save this leftover piece for croutons. You cut this in pieces, makes great croutons. So we'll cut both of these. So another trick, I go in and I pull out a bunch of the bread inside. So again, when you're making a meatball sandwich, the bread is just kind of the vessel to get the meatball into your mouth. Just like pasta, it's just a vessel. So we kind of hollow it out a little bit, not completely, but enough that you've got a really nice compartment in there. So we can shove our meatballs and lots of sauce. If we just did it this way, they would just be sitting on top, and nobody wants a bunch of bread and no meatballs. They want a meatball sandwich, so the meatball sandwich is what they're gonna get. All right, keep checking your meatballs. All right, and I've got my sauce. This is from the summer, so I just opened a fresh can. Get that heating up slowly. I finished clearing out this piece of bread. All right, that looks good. All right, they're starting to get a nice golden crust on them. You just don't want them to get real dark. This is perfect. Any darker than this, and then there's a weird texture in there. Stir. So I like to do multiple layers of cheese in my sandwiches. So we're going to start with a little bit of mozzarella in here. Just a little. Maybe a tablespoon of shredded in each across the bottom. And while these meatballs are finishing cooking, we're going to just pop these in the oven for a minute and melt that cheese. Okay, so I'm using a couple of different cheeses. Like I said, I've got mozzarella, Parmigiano, and I'm going to use a little bit of pepper jack. So I like my meatball sandwiches to have just a little bit of a bite to them. And this will go on the top at the end. So for these couple of sandwiches, this is going to be plenty. All right. These are looking pretty perfect, so let's salt and pepper these mamas. A couple of good cranks of sea salt. And about a teaspoon and a half of black pepper. Perfect. Still good. All right. All right, these look pretty good. We're going to go ahead and shut our meatballs off. So as you can see, your cheese is just kind of starting to melt in there. Your onions were half cooked already. So if you push on them and they don't fall apart, they're pretty well done. But they're going to go in the oven for a little bit anyway to get all these cheeses melted, so we're not too worried about it. Out. Thank God for Kerr marble, you can just drop it right on. All right, I'm going to pop these guys right in here. See how that little pocket makes it all work a lot better and fit a lot more in here? Perfect. Oh, top. So on a small sub, 3 meatballs is ample. You just want to go end to end. You don't want a mouthful of bread. All right, sauce is hot. I'm gonna put our pepper jack cheese. We're gonna put our mozzarella cheese. A lot of people use provolone. You can use provolone. I just think that mozzarella, it's extra stringy and delicious, and it just kind of gives it a prettier end result. Press them down a little bit. Nice big ladle of your marinara right across the top. You want to save about half your marinara for when they're done. So this does two things doing it this way. So the hot meatball on the bottom, and then you've got cheese, and then you've got hot marinara sauce. So those two heats are going to help melt this. But to speed things up, we throw it in the broiler for a minute or two. Clean up this mess. So if you guys are liking our videos, we really appreciate it if you share them or you subscribe to them or tell your friends about them or whatever. I'm having fun making them, so if you hate them, send it to somebody you don't like and we'll just screw them out of 20 minutes of their life. Otherwise, I think our meatball sandwiches might be melted enough. It only takes about 30 seconds, yeah. Give it another 30 seconds. Are you okay, Boo Boo? You're about to sneeze.
Yeah, okay.
All right. There we go. So, right before you serve them, you're going to put on the rest of your hot and juicy marinara sauce. But as you can see, our cheese is all melted already. If you have a convection oven, that works fine too. You don't have to use a broiler. It gives you a little bit of crusty on your sandwich though, so that's nice. Everybody likes a little bit of a crunch. So that is our simple and easy meatball sandwiches on a budget, in a hurry, if you want them tasty. So thanks for watching our video. I hope you guys really love them. They're super easy, and as always, send us pictures of what you made. If it came out bad, tell me about it. I want to know why. Anyway, so sayonara. Enjoy.